Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing today?
We are live once again, dropping the link in the comments for y'all to come on and chit chat with us. As
All
a
right.
reminder, you don't have to show up with your face on video. You can just talk to us audio or leave us a message in the comments or whatever, but we want to hear from you.
Awesome. And today is a lovely special day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, the respectable ones, the ones that do good and stand by their kid and maintain a healthy relationship with their kids and everything else. And those that are learning to be, and those that are becoming stepfathers to children that not of their own as well. Happy Father's Day to you gentlemen too. All right. With that being said, what is the topic for today?
So today we are deep diving back into Untangling Identity Part Dos. We
Untangling
are
Identity Part 2.
back, yes, talking about gender identity and sexual preferences and all of those wonderfully interesting topics. And to kick us off, we actually wanted to explore some of the comments that we received on TikTok pertaining to our part one of our episode and just hopefully provide some clarity or some insight or some whatever we have to offer pertaining to the comments.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I spoke on some of those comments myself. One thing I do want to get across is that just because we disagree does not mean we're hateful. Person
Yes.
doesn't have to. A person
Yeah.
doesn't have to agree with you on everything in order for them to be acceptable or tolerant of everybody. Your
Right.
opinion is your opinion. Your views is your views, just as mine.
Right.
It does not mean that a person is a bigot, homophobic, uh, or just anything of that nature. We agree and we disagree. And what I said on the last episode pertaining to this subject, I felt that I didn't say anything that was hateful, that was derogatory, or basically inciting, distasteful comments or whatever. But again, I have my own opinion. You have your own opinion. We do not have to always agree on everything. We can respect each other's views and not resort to you know we want to be tossed. We want to toss people into labels and stuff like that. So I mean, let's
Yeah.
be cordial about that. Let's be cordial. Let's be very cordial and respectful.
Agree, agree, agree. So, with that being said, let's and they're not in any particular order, so there's that. But let's see. So, the first comment by this person whose name I am not going to jack up. So, being gay is a choice. So bigoted. Bro needs to open his mind. Exactly. You want to talk about uncomfortable conversations. Why is it so prevalent and acceptable in the Black community to be homophobic? So I'm going to pause there for a second because while we are a part of the Black community, we don't speak for the Black community. So I just wanted to put that out there because I feel like
It needed to
that's
be said.
right. Like, people tend to make generalizations because one person said this that they're representing everybody, but that's not the case. I speak for me. Mike speaks for himself. I don't speak for Mike. Mike doesn't speak for me. Like, we can't speak for the larger population, right? Um, so, with that being said, to say that it's prevalent and acceptable in the Black community to be homophobic is very much a overgeneralization, because I know a lot of people in the Black community who are um, homosexual. So there's that, or have family members who are and are accepting of them. So there's that. So I wish we could lean away from making blanket statements. Like, there's that. Um, But also, with that being said, even like Mike was saying about the whole, he doesn't feel like anything he said was homophobic. When you go to the root, the etymology of the word homophobic, it is literally a fear of homosexuals, so fear of people who are attracted to the same sex. There was no fear established here. I can't speak for Mike again, like I said. But for me, doesn't even come into play. There is no sense of harm or danger or distress or threat to my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well being or way of life. Whether people choose to do whatever they do behind closed doors has absolutely no impact on my personal life whatsoever. Do I have beliefs about it? Yes. Do I have practices? Yes. But it has nothing to do with fear or hatred. This is what I believe to be true for myself. This is what I'm teaching and instilling in my children. Um, so no, there is no homophobia here. What you choose to do with yours is completely up to you. That's just not my choice. And like Mike said, we can agree to disagree. Doesn't mean that I hate you, doesn't mean I'm afraid of you, just means that I believe differently than you do, and that's okay. So um, there's that. Did you have any commentary, Mike?
Nah, like I'm not gonna lie, I was just reading them all, and it's just like some of them were kind of funny. It was just like you go from people being very intellectual and having a conversation to somehow being like you're real homophobic, closed minded. I'm like,
Right,
while I encourage, the a topic of open discussions and deep diving in uncomfortable conversation, this is what the platform is all about.
right,
Uncomfortable conversation. So let's talk about it. But the closed mindedness is like far from it. And I'm just saying, if anything, we don't see eye to eye on things, or we're not trying to see. But the purpose of anything, purpose of your life is to basically see things from other people's perspective and understand that. Having a one track mind and a one track way of being is not going to basically help you get anywhere. While I understand you're entitled to love who you love, no one's not saying that. No one's not saying you can't love who you love. However, I'm not going to piggyback on this whole my identity is this while I'm physically this.
right,
It is what it
right.
is, right?
Trying to tell me what my perception of reality
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Like I want to be, I'm black, but I can't go to the cops and be like, no, I'm not an African American man. I'm a white male. It's not going to fly the same. They're still gonna beat the crap out
Oh
of me when they
gosh.
pull me over. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And be like, why are you doing this to me? Because you're black. Oh no, but I'm white. No,
I identify as a white
I
male.
identify as a white man, but I'm still gonna get shot, getting pulled over, or selling CDs, or whatever they do nowadays. They're always finding new reasons to make us a threat. So that's the
Right.
thing. So I don't subscribe to any of that. I don't subscribe to any of that. So we can always talk on something and just leave
Yeah.
it at that. You know what I mean? So, but go ahead, read on, read on.
Okay, so I never said anything about their skin color, but homophobia is definitely a disease. Okay. They're being relegated to a life of suffering because no one is telling them to get professional help. I don't think anybody's being relegated to a life of anything. Everybody, everybody's life has some form of suffering in it. Whether we choose to get help or not. It's just whether we choose to prolong that suffering or not. Professional help includes transitioning in case you were unaware. Um, I wholeheartedly disagree with that, and not just in terms of homosexuals, but in the big picture of life. So, if, for example, some person was like, I'm overweight and I have a complex about being overweight. So I'm going to go to professional and they're going to put me in surgery for me to lose weight. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. You go, you have this surgery, this bypass, gastric bypass, and now you're thinner, but you still have the same mental processes going on. That didn't solve the problem. It was just a quick fix. Now you're thin, you have the same mental processes. So all of that weight is going to come back on and you just wasted all that time and energy and recovery for this thing that didn't get fixed. Like you didn't solve the problem. So for me, I feel like transitioning is a temporary band-aid for something that needs to be treated or managed in a more holistic manner. Like I said, for me, I'm all natural. So I don't believe that anybody should be cut or sliced or anything unless it has to do with their physical health. I mean, even when it comes to their physical health, I feel like that's like a last resort. Like you have cancer, I feel like chopping that out, I feel like chemotherapy, I feel like all those things should be a last resort to changing your lifestyle. But that's my opinion. Um, there's a comment here. My belief is it comes from what people choose to find entertaining. The illusion creates your reality. Um, yes.
I agree. I agree. I agree. You being who you want to be is who you want to be. What anybody else's opinion is about that doesn't matter. It's like what you think yourself to be. But if you're trying to force that on everybody to, if you're trying to force everybody to be like minded as you in those certain situations, that's kind of like, nah. You feel like you're a man, you're a man. You feel like you're a woman, you're a woman. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I need a pity parade or you need a pity parade for that. I mean, like, do what makes you happy. But at the same point in time, if you're a woman and you look like a man and you trying to be a man, all right, cool. But then I'm a he, she, sir pronoun. Now you're just basically splitting hairs. There is no in between. You either are one way or you are another. I mean, but to say that you're a man and you become a woman and you're like, oh, I'm a woman, I'm like, that kind of takes away from the woman because to be a woman is so much work involved in that. And so yeah, I cheers up to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then Can't Touch Too also said insecurities and becoming addicted. And I think a lot of it, I think a lot of what we're experiencing are coming from a place of insecurity. And instead of addressing the insecurity, we're choosing to chop it up and do all of these like microwave solutions to it instead of actually getting to the root of what is the problem? How did we get here? Because the reality is, if my child came to me and said, I feel like I'm a girl, my first response wouldn't be, all right, let's go chop off your penis. No, it would be, okay, help me to understand you. You know, what makes you feel like you're meant to be a girl? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What, you know, because as a parent, I want to understand my child. I'm not just going to placate them by doing whatever society tells us we're supposed to be doing, which I think is a lot of the issue with the whole transitioning thing now is because, and I think we talked about this last episode, we get on social media and we find this community of like-minded people, and this community of like-minded people, well, they're all chopping off their body parts, so maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But that's not, for me, I just feel like that's not the greatest solution. But again, my personal opinion.
Yeah. I like I said, we all have our different points of views on it. So that was us addressing these topics at hand right about now. So were we? What were other stuff that we didn't touch bases on that we needed to touch bases on?
Are we done with the comments? Okay, wait. Talked about being homophobic. Yep. Talked about. Okay, hold on. There's another one. Talking about how is it a privilege? That's such a stupid take. It's the exact opposite. They're going to be oppressed for this identity. They did not choose to have it. Um, yeah, no, I don't agree with that because the, like you saying that you identify as something that you're not is a definition of a choice. Like that's a
Yeah,
choice.
that's not oppression. I'm sorry.
Right.
There's nothing oppressing about that. It's how you feel. We have
Right.
no control on how you feel, but what you want us to do is to basically coddle to that notion. How you feel is how you feel, but let's be honest. While this world needs to be loving and caring, this world has never given an F about anybody's feelings. So while it seems like you want that special treatment that the rest of us are not even privy to ourselves, of feeling like, oh, I'm a woman, but I was born a man. Okay, that's good for you. So all right, you do you, whatever makes you happy. Oh, well, I just don't think you respect my feelings. It's not paying my bills. Like what you do on your side in your spectrum in your house is your business. It doesn't affect anybody. For you to make this a global issue, like, well, no. The big problem is when it becomes an issue is when you are a man and you become a woman and you want to play women's sports. Now that's a
Well,
problem. That's not fair.
that's
That's
and
not, that's
that's
not
our
fair.
next question. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so when you say your feelings, all right, cool. If you're a man and you want to become a woman, all right, cool. All right, cool. Sign up for that. Do that. Don't become a man becoming a woman and trying to play women's sports. That's no. Don't become a man trying to say, oh, like, no, I'm not even going to front. You can't become a woman because you cannot give birth. There's separations for that. So we're not, while while our opinions is completely different, but facts are facts. You can't not give birth. Your hormones are completely different. For you to say you're a woman and you're born a man and then you want to go out here and compete in women's sports and be treated fairly, that
Right.
doesn't make any sense. Now you're just no, because there's no woman transferring to a man trying to say I want to play in the NFL or the
Well,
NBA.
and that's
Let
the
me
crazy
play.
thing because when
Let
you
me
ask
play.
people about this, when you ask people like, why is it that women aren't trying to play men's sports? And they have 5,000 reasons as to why women aren't doing it. But the reality is that and I'll speak for myself, I have played soccer. I grew up playing soccer. I'm not a world class Olympic soccer player, but I'm pretty adept at playing soccer, right? If you were to tell me to play with men, I would get demolished. And mind you, when I played with women, I was very aggressive. Like I got red cards for a period in time, like every game. Okay, so I feel like I could hold my own, right? But I remember in college, I played intramural soccer with males and females, and I got the snot knocked out of me multiple times by men. And I was just like, yeah, okay, not for me, not for me. But that's the thing. Like people are saying, oh well, it's we have all these other reasons why they just don't want you to. No, it's because we are not built the same. Yes, there are some women who are bigger and, burlier. Yes, yes, there are. There are some women who have higher testosterones. Yes, yes, there are. But the majority of women do not fit into that category. The majority of women cannot hold their own. I was watching this video of Venus and Serena Williams, and they challenged any tennis player to play against them. Venus and Serena Williams, mind you, they're up there, right? They challenged any male tennis player to play against them, and did not have to be a top rated. It was some nobody nameless guy, and they beat the snot out of both of them. And both of them went on TV talking about. I wish I had the clip. Somebody go find it. Both of them went on TV talking about how hard it was and how they would never do it again. And mind you, I'm just going to be honest. Venus and Serena Williams are not the most feminine women in the world. So for them to play against somebody who's not even on their professional level, somebody beneath their professional level and still get whooped up on, you can't tell me that there isn't a physiological difference between the majority of males and females. You cannot. You just can't.
And like Jordan has a valid point on that. So when we talk about accepting people for wanting to be trans and all of that, it's like remember all good things start off good, and then certain people come into the light and they pervert it and they take advantage of it and they turn it into they use it for nefarious reasons or whatever. For you to be like, oh, accept me for my identity crisis and care about your identity crisis, meanwhile that there are children who look like me and Jordan, ages ranging from 4 to 5 and all the way up, are still getting shot by the police when they're even calling them for help. So there's plenty of news article about that in America. You can just point any state you want.
Mm.
So while you are caring so heavily about your identity of what you are and what you clearly are physically not, people are actually having real issues of trying to stay alive. So again, where I say it's privileged, because it's privilege. You want people to care about how you think of yourself. It's
Mm.
called self love. If you care about what everybody thinks about you, then okay, fine. Drag queens are drag queens. These are men that dress up as women for show. They like it, whether they like women or whether they like men, that's their business. They're not making that full transition into being women, but they like dressing up like women. They like putting on makeup and they are proud of who they are.
And
Be
there's
that
nothing
person.
wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Be that person. Be confident in who you are. Nobody else needs to matter. But if you're out here trying to say, "Oh, I'm a man, but I want to play women's sports," no, sit back down. You forfeited that right when you chose. When you chose, and I'll say it again, when you chose to make that augmentation from male to female, you gave up that right to play women's sports. Now, if you want to start your own gender, your own transgender league, by all means, have at it.
I support that 1000%. I do.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
all
Have
the
at it.
transgender people can
Have
have
at
their
it.
own
Yes, have at
male,
it.
female, in
Yeah, have
between.
at it. Do that. Do that. But don't cross that line. Don't come onto the from a transgender man trying to play women's sports. You go sit back down. You forfeited that right. You want to play sports, you better play. There's a whole community of you out there. I suggest start your own league. Do your own thing. If you that's what you want to do, do it. Trying to step into a women's league as a man, I say this: be ashamed of yourself because that's just no. That's like a middle schooler picking a fight with an elementary kid.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying women are inferior to men. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying, like, let's call a spade a spade. You weren't good enough to play sports and men's sports. You wasn't hitting number one all the time. But here you are. You going to women's fields and you're
Yeah.
dominating. You're dominating. You're
But
coming
it's
up
not even by a little bit. It's like
drastic. So I'm
drastically.
like, if
Yeah.
you sit back and you take this trophy and award and you feel proud of yourself.
Right.
Yo, I'm 5'5", and I'm not gonna lie. When I play basketball with somebody that's shorter than me, I feel great. Okay, I feel great. But I know for a fact it's because I'm going like this. I feel like Shaquille O'Neal at
Right.
that point
Because
in time.
they're disadvantaged.
It's
Right.
a huge
Right.
disadvantage. I
Not
would
because
love to
I'm
play basketball with
cute.
midgets all day long because I'm Shaquille
Right.
O'Neal if I'm playing with midgets all day long. But
Right.
at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is, if I try to play basketball with everybody else out there, I'm getting stunted on. So
Right.
that comes with it consequences and choices. Make your choices. This is a choice to be in your mind saying this is what you are. Love yourself, be confident in yourself, do you. But if you want to be a transgender person and play sports still, start your own league of transgender people. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that.
Well, and I think where it really comes down, and a lot of transgender people or people who are in support of transgender people will be like, "Oh, well, that's discrimination." But how is it fair to be a female who has worked hard to hone her craft, trained for years, only to be beaten by somebody who just woke up and decided that now they want to play in this league because they can? Like, and there's this one track, I can't think of the girl's name. She's a redhead track person in like high school or something. And she has created this whole movement surrounding this because in track, she experienced it where she was working hard, training hard, unbelievably hard to get to the top of her game in track, only to be beaten out exponentially by a transgender person. And how, what kind of slap in the face is that? Like knowing that there is literally you can train as hard as you want and your body will not physically allow you to reach those levels.
And so if you're and this is how I look at it for the transgender community. If you care about people caring about how you think and feel, then I
Yes.
really need
Consider
you
the
to
other people.
consider the
Yeah.
other people when you make that leap into that space. Nobody's saying that you can't be what you want to be. Nobody's saying that you shouldn't be what you want to be.
Right.
But understand, when you make that jump and that leap into that space, be mindful of the same trauma that you're concerned about for yourself of a choice you made to other people who's trying to basically live a life, have a career, be prosperous, be like
Right.
productive in their life. And you're swooping in trying to take all the credit from the years of
Right.
hard work that they made. And yeah, so if you and like I said, this is why I say it's privilege. It's only privilege because you're affected and you don't care about what you do affects other people. What you do affects everything else out there. As long as it's me, you don't care. So to the last person that says it's privilege, they didn't agree with my statement of privilege. It is privilege. And so that's what said it is.
Yeah. And that just reminds me of it reminds me of the story that came out. I don't know how recent or non-recent it was, about the transgender person who won the Miss America pageant. Um, and the issue that I had with that wasn't that a transgender person won, whatever. But when I looked at this person, when I looked at this person that won the Miss America pageant, and I looked at all the other winners and contestants over the last however many years, this transgender person didn't even meet the requirements that a normal female would have had to meet in order to win that pageant. Never in the history of Miss America pageant has there been a obese person win a Miss America pageant. That's just that's not, you don't see that. So for them to be transgender, whatever, that's a whole nother thing. But my question is, if this person wasn't transgender, if this was just an obese woman who decided she wanted to go out for Miss America, would she have even made it to that level of the competition? Because never have I seen it. I've seen a couple of women who were a little curvier, yes. But this person, and I'm not trying to be,
Body shame, fat
yeah, none of
shame. I
that.
got you. I got you.
But there was, yeah, I have no words for it. I was completely like, I'm not sure how this is a beauty pageant. Like, yes, all bodies matter, and that's fantastic. But if we're going by the past standards, like I said, if this was a naturally born female, would this person with the same exact personality, would this female have won the pageant? I,
We all strongly know that's
I
not the
don't think
case.
so. And that's the thing that I don't think is fair. Not that transgender people are in these spaces, but it's the fact that they're getting recognized because of their bravery for coming to this space as transgendered. Well, what about the bravery of an overweight person coming into this space as being overweight? Why aren't we saluting that? Why aren't we? I
I,
don't know.
I don't know. Because I'm overweight myself. I'm not gonna lie. I'm overweight myself, and I'm not celebrated. So, um, I am made to work out and lose the weight that I have, which is obviously supposed to be for healthy reasons, and I agree. However, I do agree with you on that. We're not celebrated, and where nowadays it's like you got. I mean, yeah, I like my BBWs. You know, the plus size women there. You know what I mean? All that. And there's a category. Like I said, there's a whole category for them.
Right.
Again, transgender people. Love is love. I feel you. But you want to play sports? Start your own transgender league. See how well that turns out. People may tune in. People may not. I may watch it, give or take. If it's entertaining, whatever. But yeah, no, 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 not with it. Not with it. Don't care for it.
It's not, and for me, like the thing that came up when you said that was like the Special Olympics. And not comparing transgender people to people with physical
Mental disabilities. I
disabilities.
got you. I got you.
But that same thing for someone with a physical or mental disability to compete against a fully abled person, that wouldn't be fair.
No, it would not. Absolutely not.
So I don't understand how
It would
it's
be a
fair on,
giant uproar.
right. So how is it fair on the other end of the spectrum? Like I just, and that person who's disabled could say, but it's my choice. I have this choice to play on this. You do, but it doesn't make it, and again, I say life is not fair, yes. Yes. But I feel like there should be parameters, if that makes sense. Like
There should be. They should be very much so. They should be. They should be very much so.
at what point is it no longer become competitive? Like that's really what it comes down to. Um yeah. So anyways, those are my thoughts on it. Are you having people calling in to comment on it? You're trying.
I am trying. I am trying. Or I'm
Oh.
calling in people now.
Okay.
And so, like today, I have one of my lovely people with me on the line right now, Miss Tosh. How you doing, Tosh? So I got Miss Tosh on the line. Miss Tosh, I'm on the podcast live with my friend Jordan.
Hello.
Okay.
And Jordan, what was your what do you want to ask her?
I guess my question for her, I guess it would be two questions. The first one would be, what are her thoughts on transgender individuals participating in sports or competitions according to their gender identity as opposed to their biological sex?
Oh, that's the hard one because I feel like everyone should be able to walk their truth, but I also don't feel like they should participate. I think that is unfair, and that is not being like I'm not discriminating or I just
Right.
unfair. I just feel that it's just an unfair advantage for men that were born as men but identify as women. I just think that it's an unfair advantage.
Right.
Yeah, we
Just that makeup of of them, and there's like even with the upper body strength as a woman. I mean, it's just it's facts. It's just
Right.
still the truth. Even though they're walking in their truth, we still have to walk in ours as well, and it's unfair.
Right. Right. And so then with that, is there a way to ensure like fairness and inclusivity in competitive sports?
Maybe if we I don't know. This is such a hard question. Maybe if they could compete against each other. Like I don't know. Like maybe just have it inclusive, but still identify as women. But like, or give a choice. Would they like to compete? Like it should be. We should have a choice as women if we wanted to compete, because that could be fair. Like I mean, it's up to everyone has that choice, free choice for everyone who wants to compete.
yeah
I don't know. That's just part when I really just like because I'm all about rights for everyone and to advocate to give everyone the choice and to live in their own truth. But that's just a hard one because I just feel like genetically it's unfair.
Yeah, there's a difference. Yeah.
yeah. We were talking earlier in regards to that. I suggested I'm not against them wanting to play sports. You want to do that? That's fine. Start your own transgender league, just like the WNBA did it for them. They wanted to play basketball, but they knew they couldn't play with the men, so they started their own league. There's nothing wrong with that. People will get behind that. Some people will support that. But you trying to say you want to play, you're a man, you want to play women's basketball? No. You're a man, you want to be women's track and field? No. You're a man, you want to be women, you want to play, you want to be in women's sports. Period. No. You're not out here trying to like. You're not a man trying to say I want to be a cheerleader.
Well,
Yeah.
there are men cheerleaders.
No, but there are
They're
men cheerleaders, but they're
they
not out here
just cheer.
saying I'm a transgender man trying to get into women's cheerleading. You're not out here doing that.
Or gymnastics or
Or
ballet or
gymnastics.
any
Like
of
no,
those
but that
other.
would still be like even the transfer, even the trans going into gymnastics on a women's scale would still be kind of sort of unfair as well.
Oh, it
So
would. I agree.
yeah,
It takes strength. It takes because usually when guys are in cheer, they're like lifting, and those are needed. But when they're competing in like track and field or something that's using upper body strength, that's unfair. And that's where we have things. But I really do agree. Like maybe if they started their own league and still be identified as women, but no, like you're gonna compete with other
trans.
women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
That makes sense.
Yeah, and in that sense, if women want to say I want to play with the trans women, there you go.
Right. You
They
can
can,
choose to. Yeah.
you can choose to or not to be like for the whole community of the LGB, the alphabet boys. That's what I call them. Um, if you want to basically be a change in something like that, you go ahead and you set that up and see how that works out. That's all. Ain't nobody gonna hate you for it. You gonna get people will respect you more rather than this over sense of, again, I call it entitlement, because you want people to respect how you feel, but then at the same point in time, you don't care about everybody else and how they feel.
Right.
You're not worried about that girl who's been training since she was 8 years old, only to get beat by a dude who decides I want to be a girl today. Come on,
Today.
no,
Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, get out of here. No, there's no way that's fair. There's no way that's
no,
fair.
it's not. I still don't think it's entitlement. entitlement. I think that they're walking in the truth, but we also have to, when we're walking in our truth, we have to give space to other people as well. And I don't think that it's intentional, but I do feel like when people are walking in their truth, that they have to realize and give space for other people as well. And I don't think we think about that as a whole, not even just transgender. I think that everybody that is, walking in their truth, we got to realize that it's not everybody else's, and we have to learn to include everybody and not just be, like this self, like we all thinking about self. We have to realize that there are other people that share this space with us as well, and to think about how they feel, because sometimes we fight so hard for our own rights and to be seen that we forget about other people that don't walk that same walk with. Because everybody's walking a walk, But I don't think it's entitlement. I think that we're fighting so hard for us to be heard or our right that we forget sometimes the spaces that other people hold too.
And I definitely understand, but the reason I say entitlement is, again, they're asking us to respect how they think and feel. They're wanting a focus shift on that. Let's not forget, and like I said earlier to Jordan, let's not forget, we saw on the news not too long ago, an 11-year-old boy got shot by the cops when he called them for help. Where their thought process on that? Oh, that's not right. That's not fair. We as Black people have to continue to be. We're struggling to be seen as human beings based off of the color of our skin. You're choosing, again. If life ain't got to be hard for you, why make it hard for you? If you know, saying I want to be a woman, but I'm a man. You may not even be the prettiest woman, but then you say you want to be a woman and you're a man, and you want everybody to respect you and treat you like a woman and let you play women's sports. There's other things going on. You want to say you're a woman, cool. We're not saying we're not going to respect you as that. If you look like a woman, we're going to call you ma'am. But if you say I'm a trans person, all right, so what is it? Do you want to be a woman or not? My thing is this. The word trans means transition. It's a whole transition. You're making a move. You're finna move somewhere. You finna change into something. So once you make that change, are you still a trans person, or are you what you made yourself out to be? Because at that point, if you're a woman, then all right, cool. But then you also know that you were born a man. Take the responsibility, take the accountability to understand how you're acting is privilege. You can't say you're a woman, but then you can't give birth. You can't you can't go through the trauma that women go through when their monthly cycles kick. You can't go through
Not always trauma. Goodness.
For some women it is. For some women it is. All right.
But that is still being born in a body that you feel like you don't feel comfortable in, and they're still fighting to be themselves. Just like as Black people, we're trying to go through the life and make people accept us for our skin. That's the same thing with them. So I don't feel like it's like being born in a body that you feel like doesn't belong to you. It's the same thing that we are fighting for too, to be seen and to be able to walk down the street in our truth.
Yeah.
So I don't.
But once again, though,
be that you choose. You're feeling like you're fighting for your identity.
Yeah, but your identity is self-made. You choose what you are. Am I correct?
I feel like if you feel like you were born in this body, if I'm a woman or I'm natural, I'm born in a woman, but I always feel like I'm a man. Like I don't know. I think I'm just kind of and I feel like I can't get comfortable in my own body. I don't know. Some people.
No, there's a woman out there who's an actress. She made her whole transition doing a film called Umbrella Academy, where she was a girl, and then throughout the show, she Elliot Page. She made her own transition. She came from female to male. Once again,
no, that's not possible. But woman to man, okay, yes.
Yeah, she made it from female to male.
Nope, woman to male, woman to man. There's a difference.
Okay.
Female and male are biological. You can't change that.
All right. Thank you for the correction. She made it from woman to man. All right. Congratulate. Got the boobs gone. Got muscles, abs, chest. I ain't gonna lie, look better than me. However, ain't nobody stopping you from doing that. Ain't nobody disrespecting you. Nobody's coming at you. At that point, you look like what you say you want to be. Nobody's stopping you. She's not out here saying, well, now I'm a man. Let me get out here in this NFL field and see what's up. And then treat me like a woman, though, because I don't have the strength as a man to play. They're not doing that. But it's only the men that are doing that though. It's only the men that are like, I'm a woman now. Now I want to play track and field with girls. Now I want to play basketball with girls while I'm dunking on them. Sir, I see you. I know what you are. You can't no. And that's what I mean by like it's a choice though. It's one thing to say you living in your truth. There's men out here that want to dress up as women. Live your truth. That's why there's drag queens out here. Live your truth. Nobody's not accepting. There's people out here who are not accepting. No, let me read. There's people out here. There's people out here who don't accept them for that. But but at the same point in time, there's people that do accept them for that. You live in your truth. You live in your truth of what you decide to be. But while it sounds harsh, society is society. The world is the world. When you decide to make that decision, and augment yourself, bear the brunt of the consequences of that. Because you ain't born, like you mentally are born this way. But throughout history, the world is not a forgiving place. It's not a caring and nurturing place. So when you make that decision, you cross that line. I'm under the impression that you are aware of the sacrifice and the hardships to come. And if you're not ready for that, then stay home. Nobody's entitled to we're not all entitled to basically say, oh, you feel this way, let me care about your feelings. The world don't do that. It hasn't done that. So when I say this sense of entitlement, you want us to care about how you feel when we, as people in this world, don't care about how people feel. Suicide rates is high for everybody on all across the boards. Depression high all across the board. The workforce don't give a shit how you feel. Family don't care how you feel. The government don't care how you feel. But you want everybody to care how you feel about your own identity, how you feel about yourself. If you feel like you a woman, cool. You had that. You're a woman. I feel like I'm 6'2". I'm not.
But you feel that way, and that's all that matters.
But I feel that way, and that's all that matters. I may walk like I am 6'2", and I'm like, what's up, little man? But I'm looking up at you. Hey, nevertheless, though, I don't care. But I'm not expecting the whole world to say, respect me like I'm a 6'2" man. Right. No, man, nah. I mean, like, I get it. I came to the realization that I got small hands. I didn't think about that. You know? And I was like, the longest I thought I had like large hands, but I'm looking at them like, oh my God, they're small. But they're proportioned for my size, but they're still like, wow. Then none of them. But I get it. The perception of myself and how I see myself is okay. But I'm not expecting the whole world to say, oh, wow, you got strong, firm grip. Hey, respect my handshake. It's strong. It's long.
6-foot hands.
These are 6-foot hands. Respect it. And don't squeeze it too hard because it might hurt. You know? So it's just that. But like I said, I definitely do think that it's entitlement for me. That's all. I mean, we can all disagree, and once again, we can all disagree and have discussions about it. So, if anybody has any opinion, any opinions, thoughts, concerns, please feel free to call in or message us. You don't have to show your face. Tasha didn't show her face, so she's good. Even though she's very beautiful, she didn't show her face.
Oh, I see my face.
No. But you're not on. You're on my phone. You're not on the podcast. I mean, if you want, we can put you on the podcast right now.
Oh, I don't want to be.
Yeah, okay. And I called her on vacation.
I think for me, going back to what you were saying about it being a privilege and a choice, like when I think about it, okay, if gender, and one of the comments said this on TikTok, and I completely agree with it. If gender is a spectrum, right? Why do you have to change your being to be on this spectrum? Why can't you just accept wherever it is that you fall on this spectrum? And one of the things that Tash kept saying was your truth. And that I used to use that statement until I really sat down and I thought about it, because truth is definitive. It either is the truth or it is not, right? If it's not, then it's your perspective. And I've really embraced not using the word my truth, because it's not my truth. It's not definitive. It's my perspective. It's how I see the world based on my life experiences, based on the lenses that I have, right? And so when you think about it in terms of perspective versus truth, like truth is, it is what it is. That's it. You can't tell me nothing because this is my truth. That's it. But when you think about it as perspective, oh, okay, well, if I shift, if I move over to the left, or if I move over to the right, or if I go across, or whatever, there's a different perspective to be had. And when you use the word perspective, you're automatically taking other people into consideration because you know that somebody else is going to have, not might, they're going to have a completely different perspective of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Versus with truth, there is no room for that. It's just, that's it. I draw the line here.
It's the truth. It's facts. Facts.
Right. But
Facts. You
that's the
can't.
thing.
You
But your
can't.
identity isn't a fact. It's your perspective.
Yep. It's your perspective. At times, I think I'm a secret agent for the CIA. I'm not.
That's sure enough not a fact.
That's not a fact.
But
However,
it wholeheartedly can be
not
your
even my perspective. It's an imagination.
That's okay, but that's a perspective, right? That's the way that I choose to see the world, myself, whatever. And so when we choose to, like, words really do matter, right? So when we have our own perspective, it opens the door for us to be mindful of other people's perspectives. Yes, this person chooses to see themselves as a woman when I obviously don't see that. Cool. That's your perspective. I see something different, but I respect your perspective. Sometimes you got to turn the picture upside down. I don't know.
Is that?
So, I think this whole the whole gender identity stuff is just really just such a murky place. And then when it leaks into school, and that was the next question that that I had for conversation. Should we be talking about gender identity in schools? What age is it appropriate to have those conversations?
Tashi,
Should there be like a curriculum on sexual orientation and gender identity?
what do you think, Tosh? Because Jordan's a parent and you're a parent. What do you think?
Because I agree. Like, as far as the teaching in the schools, because my kids were coming back with stuff that I didn't even think that they would talk about, and they're learning them in the schools, and all of this because I'm so old school with the she, her, me, them, that, all of these things. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So, when my kids are coming, they're 11 and 12, and they're talking about that's them, and I'm like, what are you talking about? That's one person. What are you talking
about? Right, I get it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear Jordan.
No, she said she gets it. She gets it.
Yeah, and I feel like as a parent, that should be my safety. I feel like sharing with my kids, and I don't feel like, the schools, because I don't feel like that's a safe place for them to be open up to this, opened up. I feel like as a parent, they're not allowing us the space to teach our kids what the truth, like what I feel like is what I want for my kids, how I want my kids to be taught. I don't feel like, as long as I'm not sure what you guys are teaching or how you're teaching it, I don't agree with it. It's not no them. You're one person. So there's a lot of things that I don't agree with. I don't feel like school is the place for that to be taught. Like, especially when we're not teaching Black history, I definitely don't want to be teaching that.
Like I said, privilege, because you want to teach that, but you don't want to teach everything else. You want to campaign to teach gender identity, but you're not trying to campaign to teach the truth of America. You're not trying to campaign to treat the truth of Black history. So again, when I say privilege, it's because it's a privileged mentality. You want them to teach what you're going through right now and negate everything else from Black history, Hispanic history, Asian history in this country in itself.
Right.
Privilege. It ain't, and they're not making any headway, follow through on none of that. They just want, we need to teach kids about gender identity. It's getting more attention than teaching people about human decency.
Right. Yeah, I think it definitely should be left outside of the school.
And like I said, it's privilege. It's privilege. You want to basically, oh, the pronouns, him, her, she. I'm like, see, now again, it's privilege. You wanted to add on more complications to the fact that you're just a woman, you're just a man, you're just a human being, but you want to keep adding on things. Listen, nobody cares about all that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's struggling for all of that. You're fighting yourself. You're fighting the world to get a place in the world when nobody's really paying attention to you, and that's how
Mm.
it should be. We're not paying attention to you. So, like, what's the problem? You want to be a woman, be a woman. I mean, like, ain't nobody stunting you. But the world should know why. Why?
Well, and that brings me to I was watching a YouTube video the other day, or YouTube short, and there was this middle school teacher. He was he identified as a gay male, and he was talking on the YouTube short about how he came out to his middle school classroom. And my first thought was, "Oh, that's inappropriate," because
That's 100% inappropriate.
if I was
That's
a
none of
middle
your
school
business.
teacher, I wouldn't be talking to my kids about my sex life. Or my sexual preferences like that. That's just there's not a space for that. But he was so proud of himself,
Adamant.
like, and he had his stuff, like he had his pride flag and his family and all this stuff all over the classroom, which I don't have a problem with that. Whatever, that's your choice. But I feel like to have that conversation with your students is highly inappropriate in a school. Um, and the fact that, like I said, he was so proud of it, like, oh my gosh, I feel so good, I finally came out to my students, and they had a Q&A session, and they were asking me all these questions and blah blah blah. And I was just like, I'm just not. And for me, it's because, yes, this is your lived experience, right? But as a teacher, I don't feel like teachers are equipped to teach children about sexual orientation and gender identity without inputting their own beliefs and their own
Bias.
bias, right? So how can you teach my child something that you're biased about? This isn't facts, this isn't science, this isn't research, this isn't any of those things. This is your personal experience that you're sharing as if it were facts. And that's where I'm like, no, I don't feel like this should be a topic for discussion in sexual education. I just don't. But if there was to be an age for it, definitely not in elementary school. Definitely
Definitely
not
not.
talking to my
I
elementary
feel
school
like if
about
you're gonna talk about that, it's called sex education. At
it.
that
I feel like
point,
that's like a high school thing. Yes.
that's a sex education conversation right there. That's where you have that conversation. Oh, but you're trying to enforce them at a young age, and I'm like, but and again, like I said, privilege. You want to force that issue, but you don't want to teach them at a young age the horror of this country and what it's done to people.
Because it's
You
going to
wanna-
hurt feelings.
oh, Ron DeSantis said it best. Oh, I feel like my kids shouldn't have to feel guilty for what was done in the past. However, every Muslim in the world should feel bad about 9/11.
Mm.
However,
Hmm. You're right on that one.
exactly. However, you're okay with spewing the fact that 9/11, like if you want to talk that cash about, oh, leave it in the past, leave everything in the past. Cool. Rock that. But the second you knock on that door and you're like, oh, terrorist this, terrorist that, and you point to a light skinned brown person who wears a hijab or a turban, my God,
My God.
my
Yeah.
God, there's a
You're right.
problem. You feel me? There's a
We,
problem.
we're cherry picking again.
We're cherry and like I said, the alphabet boys are on that same spectrum with them. It's like you
You
gotta
have to say boys and girls.
boys.
You have to be inclusive.
I
The
have to
alphabet
be
people.
alphabet people
Alphabet people.
are on the same agenda with them where it's like, oh, you and like I'm like, okay, what's the flag for?
They're creating their own country.
Yeah, they're creating their own country. Right, right, right. To me, it's no difference than a biker gang or a
Do they
Freemason.
have flags?
Every group, every close knitted group has their own logo and
Flag?
own flag and stuff like that.
Logo is one thing, but flag, really? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess so. I don't know. I
yeah.
have to
They
research
make it
that.
into they they make it into okay. I'm sorry, I got caught off guard. I'm sorry. She caught me off guard. I didn't see that happening. Yeah. But yeah, nothing, 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 nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things that are just different.
Yeah.
And Miss Tosh, thank you for joining in on us today, and I appreciate you for answering. Hello, Miss in the background. How you doing?
I was like, who are you talking to?
No,
Oh,
so I got her on video chat.
you're on the video. I was like, what are you?
I'm on the video with you, but I'm also on video with her. But then I'm like, who is this other person? How you doing?
See, let her be on vacation.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you get back to your vacation. I will hit you up later.
Thank you for joining
All right,
us.
bye.
Bye, Jordan.
Bye.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different than trying to basically get people to understand that concept of like I said, it still boils down to privilege to me because it's like any other day you wouldn't care less.
Yeah.
You wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. So all of a sudden now it's an important issue.
Well, and I feel like, one of the things that Tasha was talking about was this sense of gender dysphoria, like not being comfortable within your own body. And that is literally called gender dysphoria, psychological distress that results from incongruence between your actual sex, your assigned at birth, and your gender identity. And the thing with that is, for me, that's a mental health thing, right?
Yeah.
I am not comfortable with some aspect of my body. That
Mm-hmm.
comes back down to mental health, self-love, self-acceptance, all of those things, right? And so just like with any other mental health issue, if I have depression or if I have anxiety, is somebody going to encourage me to chop off body parts? Like, oh, I have this scar on my arm from when I fell and it makes me really insecure. So are you going to go to that person and be like, well, just chop the whole arm off, then you don't have to
Or
worry?
nah, what they're gonna say is get a laser removal.
And that's the crazy thing, like we have become such a microwave society. Just cut and chop and alter this everything and it fixes everything. No, it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't.
It's a temporary fix.
It really is just a filler in the space. Like
Yes, it is.
nothing is solved.
It's 100% a temporary fix.
So with that, I completely understand people, and I feel for people who are suffering from gender dysphoria, but I don't feel like the solution is to hack your body parts off and decide that you're something else. Like the person in the comments said, if gender is a spectrum, just accept where you are on that spectrum as you are, whatever that looks like, whether you got a penis or a vagina or breast or no breast or dresses or pants or wigs or makeup, whatever. Just accept yourself as yourself. That's it. That's it. We're not hating. We're not fearful. We're just speaking our perspective, right? You're on mute, yeah?
Yeah, and nobody's out here. Sorry, and nobody's out here trying to like. Granted, though, there's a lot of people out here on a negative aspect of it, and where we push on the love and understanding and respecting people for who they are and what they want. But at the same point in time, we're not forcing anybody to be what you don't think you are. So I'm just saying, I respect you more if you accept yourself and your consequences of the decisions you choose to make.
Right.
And by not accepting those consequences in the decision to choose to deal with the outcome of that is an issue for me. So that I don't agree with whatsoever.
Yeah.
It plays a big role, and I don't like it.
Yeah. And I completely understand that. And I think, a lot of it comes back down to social norms and expectations. I feel like people are trying to jump ship on whatever they were born as because society is telling us that you have these feelings, you want to wear a dress, that's not acceptable, so you got to do
Mhm.
these things to check this box. But I don't think so. And like I just wanted to comment really quickly on this because it was commented a long time ago. So can't touch too. I had a homo experience and it made me feel disgusted with myself because I know it's just path I see myself going. So, and this for me comes back down to that social norms and expectations. feeling disgusted because of something that you did, that was a choice that you made. You made that choice. No one forced you to do anything. It was a choice, right? And so
Yep.
if you're making this choice and you feel disgusted, you have to ask yourself, what is it within my beliefs and values that is causing this?
Rift.
Yeah, right. Because obviously I did this thing because something within me put me into that situation. But then now I feel disgusted. Why? Is it because that's what society is telling me to feel about homosexuality? Is that what my culture, what my religion, what my family, what my whatever, right? Um, those are the things that we have to put into consideration. How our conditioning impacts the way that we navigate life, the way that we navigate experiences. Um, because guilt and shame have no place in the healing process whatsoever. Guilt and shame are social constructs. You feel guilty, you feel shameful because something that you did or said wasn't in alignment with your social norms and expectations.
That part.
So that's my soapbox series for today. Thanks for joining.
Nothing
With
wrong.
that being said, any last minute thoughts or feelings, Mr. Mike?
Nah, no last minute thoughts or feelings on anything really. I mean, it was good that we had the one individual that came on, and I do try my best to get people to come on as much as I can. Random calling people, so watch out. You see me calling, I'm coming for you. I need to get you on the show and just talk about and get your own perspective on things. So yeah, just
Or if you don't want to be put on the spot, you can just choose to call on your own. And again, with the emphasis, your face doesn't have to show up. You can put whatever name you want in the little box and we will just hear your voice. You don't have to put any pictures or any attachments to it. We can just be. So with that being said, appreciate all of the comments on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and all the comments everywhere. I did put a link in the comments for the Miss America pageant, so if you wanted to dig into that and leave your opinion on whether you felt like that was a worthy Miss America win based on the history of Miss America, right? Um, and if in the future, like if this was a genetic female
she wouldn't have won.
with the same exact disposition, do you feel
No,
like that person would have had that
what's her
same
skills?
privilege, that same opportunity, right?
I don't follow that Miss America thing, but what's their skills? I know they gotta have skill.
Well,
I know they gotta
they
have skill. So
they
was that being
do,
experienced
yeah.
as a man? Was that like are they good at welding or something? I don't.
Well, I mean that was just because they're a man doesn't mean they have to be. Maybe that person did ballet or was a humanitarian or
There you go. There you go.
and whatever.
I was
They're
being
all
funny
kinds of
though. I was
things.
being funny. I'm not because I can't. Weld myself. I'm interested in learning how to weld, but it's not a dire need for me to get out there and be like, let me go weld some stuff. But
Okay.
I'm not opposed to it. But yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. Totally get it.
With that being said, as always, thank you for joining us. Thank you for leaning in
Yes,
with us, hoping to have some more uncomfortable conversations. And until next time, remember love is love. But first and foremost, love yourself as yourself. We'll
yes,
see
indeed.
y'all this same
Yeah.
time and place. All right.
All right. Later.
Bye.
Yeah.